So then the Battle Royal happens. It's the Hart Foundation, the Young Stallions, Sika, Danny Davis, the Killer Bees, Bad News Brown, Sam Houston, the Rougeau Brothers, Ken Patera, Ron Bass, Junkyard Dog, the Bolsheviks, Hillbilly Jim, Harley Race, George Steele, and Ken Patera. This match basically goes to the point where we're left with Bad News Brown, Bret Hart and JYD. Bad News Brown and Bret Hart as the two heels team up against JYD. They get rid of him, and then they kind of partially celebrate together for a moment until Bad News Brown turns on Hart, hitting him with the Ghetto Blaster, and then which is basically an enziguri, and then throwing Bret Hart over the top rope to win the match. Afterwards, though, as Bad News Brown's being presented with the trophy, Bret Hart jumps in the ring, attacks Bad News Brown, and smashes up the trophy, which gets some cheers. Alex, let's start with you.
I quite enjoy a Battle Royal because I love the Royal Rumble, so it's obviously a bit of an extension from that. I didn't enjoy this at all. Thought it was really plodding, really boring. However, I quite enjoyed the end, but I would have done it differently. So I liked the 2-on-1 dynamic with Bad News Brown and Bret Hart against JYD. And what I liked about it was that there was no big comeback from JYD. He succumbed to the numbers game, basically. He would get a few punches in, but it was just, it was too much for him. And I quite like that. They didn't have any elaborate, I'm going to come back. And no, you knew that it was a matter of time before he got dumped out, and I quite like that. The thing that I didn't like about the end was I thought that the turn was good, but I think it went on too long. I think Bad News Brown should have just thrown him out. I think he should have just, as Bret Hart wasn't looking, just chucked him out, because I think as soon as he attacks him, and then you know what's happening. So I think it just went on a bit too long, that. But yeah, it was a bit boring. I did like the end. I have wrote a note. Even the Hitman can destroy a trophy with style. For some reason, when he destroyed that trophy, I thought he just looked really badass doing it. Never used that term before. But anyway.
My main thought during this was I wondered which of these wrestlers had the worst hangover from the night out before, because this was a Sunday in Atlantic City. If you're on the card at WrestleMania and you're like, oh, you're in a battle royal, all you got to do is stand up and do some punches and be thrown out. I think you're hitting it hard in Atlantic City the night before, aren't you? So I wonder, A, who had the worst hangover, and B, who lost the most money the night before. There was nothing really to add here. Brett's kind of prize for turning babyface was a series of 20-minute draws with Bad News Brown in the house show circuit thereafter, which I'm sure must have been thrilling. But yeah, just Battle Royal was what it was, wasn't it, really?
I mean, I'm with you, Alex. I don't like Battle Royals wrongly, but I do like them. I think it's just a hangover of my childhood, where I remember seeing the clip of one of the first things I watched was Royal Rumble 94, but on that there's a few clips of the Intercontinental title Battle Royal from Raw the year before, and I also saw that in picture form a lot because I had the WWF sticker album of 1994, which includes pictures of that, and it just looks great. And I always used to think, oh wow, I would just love to see that Battle Royal. I bet it's amazing. And for some reason that's always stuck with me, and so every time I see one I'm like, oh, all right, I don't mind a little Battle Royal, that's fine. But what I really like about this one is that this establishes exactly who Bad News Brown is. So Bad News Brown, and they do this at the Survivor Series later in the year as well, he can't mix with anyone. He doesn't like anyone. And so he even hates all the other heels as well. I just love that. I think that's just a great little thing. They should do that. They should have characters like that now. Who literally don't like anyone. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. I guess they did it to best effect with Austin, effectively, when he became like the megastar. But yeah, I just really like it with Bad News Brown. I like that they draw upon it. Like the fact that even at Survivor Series, where you have to have all Survivor Series matches because it's Survivor Series, Bad News Brown gets involved but can't do it. So walks out, basically, because he doesn't like anybody in his team. And I think that's what they sort of established with this. But it's a battle royal. It's ultimately a battle royal, isn't it? So it's not going to be... You're right about George Steele. They had no clue what was going on. So George Steele starts outside the ring. I wonder whether he couldn't fall out of the ring. Like he physically couldn't do it and might hurt himself, so they decided not to have him just have him appear. But again, why just have him there? Just get rid of him. You've already got 1,000 people on this show. You don't need more. But yeah, he stands on the outside. Jesse Ventura's like, what's George still doing? He hasn't got in yet. And Monsoon goes, oh, I think he's out, Jesse. And he's like, no, he hasn't even got in the ring. He's not even been in the ring, and yet he's still trying to take people out. And I was actually watching then because I was like, well, let's see how this resolves itself. Effectively, George Steele starts arguing with the referees who's trying to get him to go in, and he won't go in, and then he basically gets sent away. And that's how they resolve the George Steele thing. But they do it so quietly and so without the commentators focusing on it that it just is completely baffling. I wonder whether or not this was like a last minute thing and the commentators didn't know what was going on with it, so they just ignored it. And in the meantime, the referee and George Steele continued to perform out their little thing that they were trying to do, so that it was obvious what happened. Yeah, mistakes all over the shop there, but yeah, it was all right. It was fine. I have no problem with them starting with a battle royal. I can't get upset with the start of a battle royal for me. Starting with a battle royal, because it's not like it breaks the flow or anything, just gets everyone excited. Lots of entrances, lots of introductions, gets people kind of, yay, boo, yay. I'm fine with that.
I think one of the things just goes back to my nostalgia thing, because watching this as a kid, I remember this Battle Royal, and maybe that's why I like Battle Royals, because I remember I look fondly, or think about it fondly when I look back at it.